today, after two of their coastguards, one of whom had been serving for over 40 years, have been sacked. Why, you might ask? Well, it seems to be for using common sense. Pedrick and Richard Clarkson joined us now along with their local MP, who's come all the way from Totnes, Dr Sarah Willoughby, for this one. Thank you all very much indeed. Ian and Richard, tell us the story.
Well, we got a Coast Guard call, I think it was on the 20th of June, where it was allegedly a car was over the cliff. We got on scene and the car had just run back on a grassy bank. There's no life in danger. We spoke to the occupant and his car was there. We spoke to the head office and they said there was no life in danger. They were going to get the fire brigade to come out and recover the car. And the fire brigade came back to the Coast Guard and said they weren't going to go because there was no life in danger. So we said that and then we heard we were stood down as being Coast Guards. So we removed our Coast Guard uniform and towed the car off the cliff with Richard's Land Rover.
With your own vehicle, Richard,
yeah. Our own vehicle.
So you guys thought you were just doing the right thing, you were being good Samaritans.
Just helping out.
Throughout all of this. But your bosses took a different view. What was the view they took?
They certainly did, yeah. We were told afterwards that we shouldn't have touched it, etc., etc.
Why shouldn't you have touched it?
Because it didn't make Coast Guard remit. It didn't fit Coast Guard remit.
Were you off duty at this stage?
We thought we were off duty.
You'd been stood down as far as
we'd been stood down, but the technicality was that we still had the Coast Guard vehicle on scene. So they deemed
you didn't use it?
No, we didn't use it. We used all our own stuff.
What about uniforms? Does that come into bearing if you're wearing a Coast Guard uniform?
We had no Coast Guard uniform on. We were told if we had taken the Coast Guard vehicle back to the station, none of this would have happened.
It was just the fact that the vehicle was there.
Yeah.
So your bosses, they could have basically said to you, well done, guys, well done. They could have turned a blind eye to this and they could have seen you as very decent, good citizens for doing that and given you a pat on the back. They may have even have said to you, hey, you shouldn't have really done that, but it was on our time, but you did a good thing. Or they could make a point and throw the rule book at you, which is exactly what they did. Yeah. Why do you think they've done that?
I don't know. I think there's something going on that we don't know about. I think they want to close the station at Hope Cove and amalgamate the two or do something. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but there's more to this than we know about. How
many years, Ian, have you been? This is a volunteer.
Yeah, I've been in there 42 years. My father was in it 42 years and my grandfather was in it 30 years.
So it's a long tradition in your family. And Richard, 15 years?
Well, best parts of 15.
What about some of the rescues you've been involved in, Ian? How many times do you feel you've put your own life at risk to help other people?
I don't know, lots and lots, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I'm sure they're being very modest, aren't they, Sarah?
Yeah, there are hundreds of people who owe their lives to these two.
Yeah, so what do you make of what's happened to them? They've been sacked for...
I think
they appear to be helping somebody out.
I think Ian and Richard deserve medals, and they've been treated exceptionally shabbily. And what's more, it now means that there's a less good service for people who may need the kind of work that they do. And let's face it, this is dangerous and harrowing, very sad work. It's shabby treatment, and they must reverse this decision.
You see, these guys are the same age as me. And I just, give them huge respect because whether I was working professionally or voluntarily, I just couldn't physically do what is required of you. And my point is, Sarah, it mustn't be too easy to be able to recruit people of this experience and standard.
Absolutely, and there is a shortage of people. And let's face it, these guys have their own jobs to be doing. They're really busy people, and so they're fitting this in among trying to do their own work. And this is, as I say, it's exceptionally shabby treatment, putting other people's lives in greater danger. It's an extraordinary decision to have made.
What does it involve being a volunteer? Ian, as Sarah said, you have a farm and a hotel. You're a blacksmith.
That's right. That's right.
Richard. So in your daily life, you'd be going about your job. What happens? You get a call. You have to immediately.
We're paged.
Yeah.
Drop everything.
Go
to the station. Get the vehicle. And we could be away 5 minutes, or we could be away 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, from your own business.
Yeah, from your own business.
Well, let me put it to you what the Coast Guard Agency are saying about what you guys did. You thought this was initiative. You thought it was kindness. They say, our safe systems of work dictate that we cordon off the area to prevent members of the public from jeopardising their safety or risking their lives. we would then task appropriate recovery resources, which they did, and the fire brigade then said there was no life at stake, so they didn't turn out. 2 officers attempted to carry out an unsafe recovery using an untested rope tied around a bumper of a privately owned vehicle. What would you say in reply to that?
Well, firstly, I wasn't aware that you have to have a tow rope tested, and nobody actually looked at the tow rope, so how can they say it was unsafe and untested? And also, I think you'll find they say that we tied it to the bumper, but it's a modern car.
Yes.
And there isn't anywhere to tie a rope to, so we put it on the subframe where you would do normally.
And you're not that stupid.
Exactly.
Anyway. The officers were on official Coast Guard duty and wore Coast Guard uniforms.
Initially, we did. Sorry, Ian. Go on.
I was going to say that's a complete negative because we took our uniform off. We were not, because we thought we were stood down, so we were no longer acting as Coast Guards.
Now, the officers deliberately misled the Coast Guard Control Centre at Falmouth by informing them that a local farmer had carried out the recovery.
Well, when I'm not a Coast Guard, I have a small farm, so technically I am a...
Because you
See,
are a farmer.
personally, I think that's initiative. I think that's good. We would like to reassure the public that there is no reduction in the quality of search and rescue provided for the Hope Cove area. Sarah Willison MP, what would you say about that?
I don't agree. And I think we've lost the services of 2 extraordinarily experienced individuals. And let's face it, there's an issue here about judgment. When you've been doing the job for 42 years, you get a sense, you exercise your judgment. And sometimes that judgment call is that a member of the public might take matters into their own hands and try and unsafely move their own vehicle.
Well, look, what
from
can
near
you
the
do
cliff
about
edge.
this? Anything?
Well, I've asked to see the Chief Executive of the Maritime and Coastguard Agency, and I'm calling on them to just simply reverse this decision, to do the right thing by 2 really extraordinary individuals who've given so much to the community and want to continue doing that.
As I say, you want to go back if they reverse their decision.
Yeah,
We
of
want
course
to
we do.
be back to help the general public.
So
We're
many-
not there for our own
But
benefit.
we're in a health and safety world gone mad.
Well, Carol says
aren't we?
this is why nobody wants to help other people, because of the consequences. We've become a sad, gutless country. Jane, it's a disgrace treating these guys like this. How many future lives will be lost because they are now not on duty? You're sitting here.
Yeah,
Dawn,
going
this
back-
is just
going
so
back to what you
stupid. No
just
wonder
said.
people just walk by instead of helping others. And so it goes on. So many messages of support for you. Jacqueline, a good deed costs them their jobs. It's disgusting. I hope the bosses will rethink their decision.
Guys, thank you. Thank you for
so
telling
much.
us your story. To the Maritime and Coastguard Agency, I'd just like to say, wise up. Thank you very much indeed.